The news is live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra. In Kumasi, we are on Love 99.5 FM and over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. We are on Sun City Radio and Jubilee FM in Keta. We are on A1 Radio and Dreams FM in Bolgatanga, Radio Max in Takrade. We are on ATL FM in Cape Coast, Radio Wa in Wa. You can go digital on Spotify, Facebook, and myjoyonline.com app. This afternoon, the unending debate on the impact of COVID-19 pandemic and the Russian invasion of Ukraine on Ghana's economy. A development analysts say failure by successive governments to restructure the economy is to blame.
Some banks are already on the brink of capital distress. Some banks are literally on the brink of insolvency in Ghana. Now,
things have been very different because you see that no country has developed on aid.
To blame it only on Russia, Ukraine, and COVID-19 is like majoring on the minor.
Yes, there was a problem. We are worse off than some countries, as you can see on the graph, but it's not as if we're the worst hit.
We're hearing from an economist, a thought leader, and a development analyst. Plus, is Ghana's inflation really 33.9%?
Raw aroma rice, 5 kg, 32 cedis to 58 cedis, 81% increase. Fried toll, 16% to 30 cedis. That's an 88%. In my pocket, it is more like 80.
Also, Ghana makes its position clear at the United Nations Security Council, affirming the country will not recognize Russian annexation of Ukrainian territories, insisting impunity cannot be tolerated.
Ghana does not and will not recognize any territory that is unilaterally and forcefully required or acquired as dismembered from a sovereign entity.
Ghana is further moving for the perpetrators of the war in Ukraine to be held accountable. Also, Imani Africa paints bleak picture about Ghana's banking sector, revealing a lot of banks are on the verge of insolvency and government may need to do another cleanup of the sector in the near future.
We already know that today, 40% of banks are capital stressed. They are struggling to meet their obligations. And maybe 20% of banks in Ghana are on the verge of insolvency.
We have details as Bright Simmons warned government against any debt restructuring program to secure an IMF deal, which will worsen the state of local banks.
Given that fact, if you're going to bring in something like domestic debt restructuring, where assets that they thought were safe, you're all of a sudden going to declare that those assets are no longer safe, they are worth much less, you better do a stress testing to see which of the banks may get hit.
I have details from that Bar Radio lecture delivered by Vice President of Imani Africa, Bright Simmons, and also suffering the harsh realities of potholes in pain, how the Tema motorway is increasingly becoming a death trap for many road users.
For county there is uncountable. Honest,
the potholes are serious.
In sports.
Well, there's optimism in Black Stars camp ahead of the crucial World Cup friendly in France this evening.
We know that, but football is on the grass. We are going to fight. We are going to follow the coach's plan from the first minute to the last.
Well, we hear from Captain Andrea Ayew. Plus, take you live to France.
All that and more here on the Midday News with me, Emefa Apawu. Many thanks for choosing us. This is your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Please stay for details.
We're feeling this war directly in our lives in Africa. Every bullet, every bomb, every shell that hits a target in Ukraine hits our pockets and our economies in Africa.
President Akufo-Addo at the United Nations once again blaming Ghana's economic woes on global factors of COVID-19 and the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. This afternoon, experts from the fields of economics, international relations and social innovation are urging government to abandon consistent justification and create a stable economy capable of resisting shocks. First, listen to economist Professor Godfred Bokping.
We know that it has taken a combination of internal and external shocks to bring us to where we are. We have denied that. To blame it solely on Russia, Ukraine, and COVID-19 is like majoring on the minor, right? And if that is the approach, then we disagree with that conclusion totally. And as Dr. Teo has referenced from the IMF's own report, right, that the last Article 4 surveillance report, even the exit report as of the 2016 end of program report assessment, you will see the vulnerabilities had been recognized.
Well, international relations analyst Professor Lord Yevuga, on the other hand, believes things could have been different if government had been able to implement its Ghana Beyond Aid agenda.
Things would have been very different because, you see, that no country has developed on aid. I mean, historically, no country in the modern world has developed based on foreign aid. And therefore, if you are a country or continent that you say, I'm going to now focus on my country going beyond aid, that's a new development because it now means that you are going to be in charge of your own destiny. Ghana has been receiving aid since independence. What has that aid done to our country? Because most of the aid, they come with strings attached to them.
Now, Vice President of Imani Africa, Bright Simmons, says Ghana's economic challenges goes beyond the twin global challenges.
The COVID, from a point of view of disease and death, was not as bad in Ghana as the average African country. Jobs are fundamental. A lot of the problems we face are jobs related. People don't get employment, they don't get paid well enough and the rest. So how badly the COVID affects us from a jobs point of view? We are nowhere near Cape Verde or Gabon or any of those countries that really saw massive losses in the aftermath. And we've recovered most of those job losses and the rest of it. So yes, there was a problem. We are worse off than some countries, as you can see on the graph, but it's not as if we're the worst hit.
Meanwhile, Chief Executive Officer of Dalex Finance, Ken Thompson, says while the Statistical Service pegs Ghana's inflation rate at 33.9%, for him, it feels more like 80%.
You know, the same inflation is what, 30-something percent?
Yeah, 33.99%, correct, yeah.
In my pocket, it feels more like 80. My pocket feels more like 80.
That is interesting.
Yeah, in my pocket, it feels more like 80. I mean, if you take the cost of basic things, frozen foods, I got some figures here. January 2022, 120 cedis now is 250 cedis. That is a 108% increase. That's frozen food, frozen chicken. Raw aroma rice, 5 kg, 32 cedis to 58 cedis, 81% increase. Fritol, 16% to 30 cedis. That's an 88% increase. And all the things I haven't asked is pure water, salt, pepper, tomatoes. So inflation is for me in my pocket. And I'm not disputing what the Statistical Service...
They're looking at the national average and all the rest there.
In my pocket, it is more like 80. And then, you know, for as a company, we pay for our IT services. Most of them are in dollar.
Why is it denominated in dollars? Okay.
So if you're paying AWS for a cloud service, you're going to pay in dollars. I mean, they don't take CDs. Well, you can pay CDs, but eventually it's dollars. I mean, that's almost doubled. So inflation, you know, for me in my pocket, it's over 80%.
That's Ken Thompson there, Chief Executive Officer of Dalex Finance. Well, Imani Africa is painting a bleak picture about Ghana's banking sector, revealing a lot of banks are on the verge of insolvency and government may need to do another cleanup of the sector in the near future. Because
of the governor's attitude, which is that, well, the fiscal authorities don't have money, and so I don't have the $1 billion that I need to fix the problem. I'm just going to leave it for now. Given that context, if there was another and we had a run on one or two banks because they keep failing clearing, and then word goes out that they are failing clearing, and because of that, people start to pull out their money. So we are seeing that in the investment side, the investment bank side. People are going there trying to get their money out. That will cause catastrophic problems for this economy. For a very simple reason. The fiscal authorities say they don't have money to do another bank cleanup. And we know that $1 billion that the governor says he's waiting for is not enough. We know it's not enough. NTHC, which is a government-owned entity alone, is saying that 500 million cedis is what he wants from the government. And that's one of the least of our concerns. Think of it across the entire sector. All the issues that are going to pop up. Then also, when you do an asset quality review, things that were hidden pop up. Do you remember those days when they would announce profits, large amounts, and they were winning awards? And then all of a sudden, we did an asset quality review and things started to become frightening. And the new government comes to power and decided to implement the asset quality review, which we couldn't do in earlier on. And then we have chaos. So I think that the government has to be extremely careful.
That's Vice President of Imani Africa, Bright Simmons, there delivering a lecture at the Baredu Memorial program yesterday. Now, Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Shelley Ayokobochi, says Ghana will not recognize any annexation of Ukrainian territories by the Russian Federation. Addressing a special meeting at the United Nations Security Council on the maintenance of the peace and security of Ukraine in New York City, Shelley Ayokobochi noted that Ghana remains committed to its position that the Russian invasion of Ukraine is in breach of international law and unjustified.
Ghana does not and will not recognize any territory that is unilaterally and forcefully required or acquired as dismembered from a sovereign entity. We reiterate the call on the Russian Federation to immediately and unconditionally cease its operations, withdraw its troops from the internationally recognized borders of Ukraine, and respect its neighbors' sovereignty and political independence. The need for a credible pathway for a genuine diplomatic process is urgent. The barrel of the gun does not provide such a pathway. It only leads to needless loss of lives and destruction on both sides.
Well, after stunning battlefield setbacks in the last 2 weeks, Russia moved to cement its grip on territories it occupies in eastern and southern Ukraine, as Kremlin proxies there announced plans on Tuesday for referendums on annexation to Russia, indicating a possible escalation of the 7-month-old war. But Ghana's Foreign Minister Shelley Ayokobochi says the International Criminal Court must hold perpetrators of the war accountable.
With a rising death toll, civilian casualties, and growing reports of war crimes and other human rights violations, we must uphold our responsibility as a council and send a clear message that perpetrators of atrocities would be held to account. The suffering in Ukraine is abhorrent and should not be dismissed as the mere consequence of war. To do so, we would be endorsing the atrocities and sanctioning impunity. In this regard, we underscore the importance of ensuring accountability for all war crimes committed in Ukraine.
Foreign Affairs Minister and Regional Integration Shelley Ayokobochi. Back here in Accra, potholes and surface defects on roads are a big problem in this country. Not only do they look unsightly, but they also pose a real safety hazard to road users. Whilst in other jurisdictions, road users get compensated for the impact of potholes on their vehicles, Ghanaians suffer the harsh realities of potholes in pain. My colleague Samuel Kojo-Brace has been spending some time on the Tema motorway to monitor how potholes are making the motorway a death trap for users and has come through with this report.
Our mobile maintenance units are on standby for the potholes, so that one will be done immediately after we have finished this one.
A roads engineer with the Ghana Highway Authority given assurances potholes on the motorway will be patched immediately after repair works on the Laklapa Bridge were completed. It's been over 3 months and the potholes are now becoming increasingly problematic for road users. Robert has been driving on this highway for the past 10 years.
Very bad.
The potholes are serious, especially at the Laklapa Bridge that they have been repairing. The potholes there are very bad.
Very bad.
At the Manette Junction motorway taxi rank, I come across Seth, a driver. He describes driving on the motorway as hell.
It's no more potholes because two sides or whether here or here is two lane, and for county there is uncountable, honestly. And first, as motor is no more motorway now. There's a traffic 24 hours all the time when they get to the motorway.
Fiavo is also a taxi driver here. He wants government to take action.
There's a lot of accidents that happen over there due to potholes. As you know, motorway is a highway. So if they want to maintain the motorway as a highway, then they should at least we need extension and to solve the potholes on the motorway.
It is safe to say that potholes are a big concern for road users. The longer we wait, the more accident and death are recorded on this motorway. For Joy News, Samuel Kojo-Brace, Motorway.
Let me take you to the Ashanti region now, and we're told that 3 more students of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology have been arrested in connection with the recent violent clashes on the campus. They were put before court today, and Love FM's Emmanuel Bright-Kweku was there. He joins us live on the line. Emmanuel, walk us through the charges against these 3 students.
All right, so Emefa, these students were charged for rioting and causing unlawful damage during this recent clash on campus.
And in all, then, how many students have been picked up in connection with these violent clashes?
So, the Emefa District Court issued a bench warrant to arrest 62 persons, and out of these persons, 5 have so far been arrested.
And what exactly was the mood in court? Because we're told that the other ones, their parents and relatives, had raised concerns about them not being granted bail, amongst others. What's the situation with these 3 students?
So, Emefa, right after proceedings today at court, the friends and family of these 3 could not hold their tears. They were hoping that these accused persons would be granted bail. That is because the lawyers for the accused persons had gone to seek for a bail. So it was an emotional mood over there at the court today.
Okay. That's my colleague Emmanuel Bright-Kweku there reporting from the court for us today. Now, this afternoon, teachers in basic schools across the country are livid over government's continuous failure to pay capitation grants. The grants are essential in financing the day-to-day activities of basic schools, but for more than 2 years, it hasn't been paid. Some of the teachers say they have been forced to pay for essential services out of pocket. Here's a teacher in the Sonafo North in the Ahafo region, Mr. Alex Akar, who also doubles as the former General Secretary of the Conference Heads of Basic Schools.
How do I run the school, especially a school who have utilities to pay and everything? So these are the things. And we are not to charge the children. We are not collecting any money from them. So look at how we are going through as heads. It's not easy. It's not easy, my brother. I must confess. Reality is most of the heads are using their personal money. Most of the heads. You see, we have been told not to pre-finance. Now, my school, I have prepaid. So do I have to sit down for the lights to go off? That is the question. When you come to the school and the roof, some little parts have ripped off. Should I wait for it to go off? When I come and the doors, they're locked, should I? So these are realities. Realities, you are a manager. That is what they usually tell us. We are managers.
And we are told this is not the only challenge facing basic schools. For more than 3 years, teachers have been forced to teach without textbooks corresponding with the new curriculum. The Minister for Education, Dr. Yaoseye Duchum, promised to make the books available before the 2022-2023 academic year, but our check shows schools are yet to receive the full complement of these textbooks. We hear from the minority spokesperson on education, Dr. Clementa Park, who is threatening to drag the minister before Parliament. But first, here's a report by my colleague Michael Ashale on the promises made by the Education Minister.
We have also monitored. In some schools, they have received. And we are very optimistic that even before the 90-day period, every school and every child will have the required number of books to support their effective learning.
That was Deputy Minister for Education, Reverend Intim Fojo, on 22nd July 2022, where he emphatically stated that the textbooks will be ready before school reopens for the 2022-2023 academic year. A month later, the substantive minister, Dr. Yaoseye Duchum, reiterated saying when he faced Parliament's Government Assurance Committee.
And I stand by that assurance. As I speak with you, distribution of textbooks is ongoing around the country. In some places have moved from the region to the district. In some places have gone from district to the schools. I am within my assurance period. 6.4 million textbooks have been produced and distributed. Schools and research, by the time they come, will have the textbooks for use in the classroom.
Our checks on the ground show that many schools have only received science textbooks since they reopened on September 13, 2022. The teachers are unhappy over the delays in making the textbooks available to their students.
Most of them are talking about science. To be honest, apart from science, I've not seen any district talking about any other book. In fact, it's not consistent. With the public schools, it's not easy for us. It's not easy. I speak to you, public schools have got the best teachers. You know it. The training that we go through, the government wastes money, paying allowances and everything for the teachers. But when you get to the field, our hands are tied back. That is it. What we need to use is to do the work, is not forthcoming. So we need them urgently. We need them. We need them.
We're going to hear from Deputy Ranking Member on the Education Committee, Dr. Clement Apawu, who is promising to lead calls for sanctions against the minister.
But my checks actually indicate that whilst the books, indeed, some may have been moved to the regions and even the districts, there is no evidence to show that the books have actually been given to the schools for them to distribute to the pupils. And not even one single one of them has confirmed. These books have been long overdue. We are talking about in excess of 3 years. But the other issue that is also militating against effective teaching and learning at the basic school, which of course is a matter that I will take up when Parliament resumes, also has to do with the arrears that government owes to the basic schools in the area of capitation grants.
That's the Dr. Clement Apawu. Now, it was big in Accra, and hopefully it will be bigger in the Ashanti region. It's a week to the Love FM Habitat Fair 2022, taking place at the Kumasi City Mall. The 3-day event is attracting a wide range of exhibitors to market their products and services from September 30 to October 2. Ahead of the Habitat Fair, some building and construction experts have been offering solutions and alternatives to addressing housing problems.
Ellis Agbeko of the Asante-Guinea's Land Secretariat is advising prospective landowners to undertake all legal processes to genuinely acquire their lands.
If you just hold on to your allocation paper, you don't have any legal title to the land. You should actually get documentation done on the land, not just developing it. Because whatever that happens at the end of the day, you need to have a legal interest in the land on which you are possessing.
Builders have also been advised to consider soil testing before commencing any construction works on their acquired land. This is coming from engineer Bernard Ufusu, who is head of Geotechnical and Materials Engineering Division of the Building and Road Research Institute of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research.
You've acquired your land, you've got all the necessary documents. Now you intend to build. So the question is, what is the type of soil that exists at your site? What is the nature of the soil? We have different types of soil, and these soils have different properties, and they are used for specific projects. For example, if you are building and your site is predominantly clay, it's going to be problematic for your building. But when you are building a water retaining structure like a dam, clay is okay, you can use the clay. So it is very important that before you start building, you test the soil.
A building expert is advocating the replacement of the conventionally used iron rods with bamboo in building and construction. Frank Abuaji Denyansa.
We have tried and tested the use of bamboo to replace iron rods, which will still make construction cheaper.
And that's our Habitat Fair coming up on September 30 in Kumasi. This is the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. We've been talking about the unending debate on the impact of COVID-19 pandemic and the Russian invasion of Ukraine on Ghana's economy. A development analyst we've been hearing from says failure by successive governments to restructure the economy is to blame. When we return, it's all about the Black Stars. There's optimism in camp ahead of this game. Not so crucial. We are facing Brazil, but all is well.
We know that, but football is on the grass. We are going to fight. We are going to follow the coach's plan from the first minute to the last.
We go run kitty kitty. We go score kata kata. Black Stars, we come fire fire.
You must have thought you've watched it all. Gomorrah is a new exciting series about the conflict that rises between the wealthy and the poor. Watch Gomorrah exclusively on Aquaba Magic, DSTV channel 150, Go TV channel 101, and Aquaba Magic Ebusian DSTV channel 149 and Go TV channel 108. With as little as 50 Ghana cedis on DSTV access and 25 Ghana cedis on Go TV value. Gomorrah, Emre Dane.
We go run kitty kitty. We go score kata kata.
Well, it's time for sports, and we are getting ready for this evening. We are taking you to France. Musbao, let's kickstart it all.
Yes.
How is it going? Just calm down. Don't worry. I've watched the match already, so I know how it's all going to turn out.
Okay.
So don't really worry. Just calm down.
And what you've seen is cool, is good.
What I saw was that the Brazilians were not happy about the outcome of so they want us to have a replay today. That's why we are playing it again.
Okay. Because we are just we are less than 6 hours away from that game that the Black Stars will play against Brazil, and the mood in camp is really high. The captain of the side, Andre Ayew, has been speaking, and he says the team will give 100% on the day.
No, they didn't get to this level, and they're not playing for all these kind of clubs by mistake. They earned it, and they've played. They've won Champions Leagues. They've won different trophies. So that's what I'm saying. That when you look at their squad, from the goalkeeper to the 23 players, all players who play for top teams. So we know that. But football is on the grass. We are going to fight. We are going to follow the coach's plan from the first minute to the last. And we'll see where to take us to. And as I said, yes, it is a big game, but it's a game without pressure because there are no 3 points at the end of it.
So that's the captain of the side, Andre Ayew. But we'll take you live to France now, where my colleague George Adu Jr. is. And George, I mean, what's the mood in camp? Andre Ayew says they're going to give 100%. But, I mean, studying the mood in camp, is it optimistic?
Yeah, I mean, I would not describe it as optimistic or pessimistic. I'll just say that the camp is absolutely calm, looking forward to a friendly game, which is part of the preparation process for the World Cup. And that's what a lot of us will have to keep right there in our minds, that this is a game that offers Brazil the opportunity to test what they have been planning for the World Cup, because they have Cameroon in their group, and also represents the biggest test Ghana could find around the world in preparing for the World Cup, in playing against Brazil, knowing that we're in a group that has Portugal, Uruguay, and we've got the chance to play, like the best side in the world. So for the technical team, I've seen them do all their best. They had the video meetings, they've spoken to the players. The training sessions were absolutely great. They are looking out to find answers to questions that they have on their minds with regards to getting the right squad for the World Cup, number one. And number two, also put into the test some of the ideas that they think should be working, because we have such a diverse squad. We have 5 new faces joining us, such a diverse squad and versatile players in so many positions. So they have to put to the test their kind of ideas. The players are obviously very excited about the opportunity to play against Brazil. If you ever want to make your name in football, it's like a platform like Brazil, a huge platform when you play against the best team in the world.
Okay.
If you score
Well,
a goal,
George, let's just come in at this point, George. So we know it's a test of our readiness for Qatar 2022, but we've just been going through a number of names. Let's talk about Neymar. We have Antony, Casimiro, Rafiu, Casimiro. We have Rafinha. So, Rafinha, which of our team members or who in the Black Stars are going to match these names? Do we know just yet?
Okay, yeah. In terms of the starting lineup, we're not close to knowing the starting lineup. Coach did not even give a clue at the final training session. He kept rotating the players, so it's not clear. But I would say that a chunk of the players we already know will definitely start the game for cohesion's sake, and we're going to see some of the new faces definitely as well in this game that will force the coach the opportunity to substitute as many players as he like. I understand the fact that they've got star names, but it's a teamwork. So Ghana would be hoping to get a result, and we have to be reminded of the history between the two sides in the last 3 meetings. The Black Stars are yet to score a goal. We have always, had a player sent off in all the meetings in 2006 at the World Cup and 2007 at Friendly and 2011. But there have been star names that have come up as well. And it's important to get a good scoreline, a great result if we can. But importantly, the technical team would have to answer the questions that they have on their minds, and the players would have to learn a lot about themselves in such a big game that gets to the test. So we've got names. We've got Thomas.
George Adu Jr. The Ghanaians have been speaking Emefa, and they have also been giving some predictions, quite some interesting predictions. You just listen to some.
I believe either Ghana was beaten by 1-0 or draw. Yeah, the lineup is not too bad as compared to Brazil, but still we have the courage and we have the vim that Charlie. We go draw or go win. We go score them by 1-0.
Brazil is a very good country when it comes to football. They are good, and Ghana is good as well. So I think it will be draw, maybe 1-1 or 0-0.
Okay, Ghana Brazil Ghana Brazil. I think it will be draw or 2-0 against Ghana. My point is the Ghanaian team haven't played together before, so the unity and how to know the style of ball they will give passes, the style of ball they will play will be very difficult. But it will be draw or 2-0 against Ghana.
Ghana will do, or Ghana will win.
By how many goals?
What's your prediction?
Well, I'm looking at a draw. I think possibly 1-1.
Give him.
1-1. But you think we're going to win?
Oh, of course.
Wow.
But do you hear the song that's playing in the background?
Obia. That's a friendly, you know.
If there will be a woto, it will be the Brazil side.
On the Brazil side?
Oh, of course. There will be a serious woto on the Brazil side. I've told you, I've watched the game already. So
I trust you, Prophet Emefa. I trust you, Prophetess Emefa. I trust
Don't go
you.
there, I beg you.
So that's it. But there will be commentary on Joy 99.7, 6:30. The team will be here and the commentary will be live.
We can't wait for that. You're to leave the dial right here on Joy 99.7 FM. Ghana versus Brazil is just a friendly, so just take it easy. And that's how we wrap up today's edition of the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. Also, the Ghana School of Law entrance examination that was expected to be written today has been cancelled after alleged leakage. The exam has now been scheduled to 1:30 p.m. later today. And there's more on myjoyonline.com. Brazil's possible lineup to face Ghana in pre-World Cup friendly is out. Also, no data shows Ghana is worst hit by Russia-Ukraine situation. Bright Simmons. You can read all that and more on myjoyonline.com. I am Emefa Apawu. Many thanks for your company.